1, 2, 3. Hey guys, my name is Enrique, and welcome to my channel, I Have Isaiah Podcast. I have a few questions for today that I'm going to be talking about. First one is the difference between metaphysical and schizophrenia. So, growing up, schizophrenia was instilled in my head because I had the fact that I would hear voices, I would hear demons, I would hear my ancestors, and the living and the non-living were very hard to distinguish the difference because they were very similar voices. And as I grew older, I was just thought I was schizophrenic and crazy. And having the society of non-believers, schizophrenia is a huge thing where it's very, very normal in today's society. And me being metaphysical and very spiritual, I know the difference between schizophrenia and metaphysical. Now, schizophrenia is technically a true thing, a true condition where people do have voices of demons, do have voices of a secondary opinion that wants to hurt, harm, or even destroy. And sometimes when that said person is off the track of their own lifestyle, they hear these voices and they don't want to do harm, but the voices want harm from them. And I used to have that. I used to go to parties and hear that, and I used to get very paranoid, and I was just like, no, this is not for me. This is not cool. I don't like it. So as I grew older, I got true to myself, and I started believing in God and really distinguished the difference between the good voices and the bad voices, especially the energies, because there's energy everywhere. And I just understood the energies, and I just knew right away that when I was a kid, I was misled, I was misguided, and I didn't know how to work it. I didn't know what to do. So that's the main difference between metaphysical and schizophrenia. One is connected to their inner self, it's connected to God, and they speak to their ancestors, and they speak to their spirit guides, to God and to source and such. Versus schizophrenia is one that is misguided and has gifts that they bear, but they don't know what to do with it, and they hear demons and they hear hurtful things. Now the next one is the benefits of believing in God. Many, many benefits. For starters, where do I start? The feeling. The feeling is the first part. Knowing that you are an unstoppable force because of God. God is not only the energy, not only a guide, not only a loving figure, not only the creator, but He's everything. He's the universe. He created us. He wanted us to live the way we live currently. We're destined to do things, and He's always there to help us out. And the way I see it motivates me. He motivates me to do things, to accomplish goals, to help people, to help myself, to develop others, to develop myself, to search, to really dive deep into my spiritual self, into the metaphysical, into this new layer of understanding. And I love the fact that God can definitely plant seeds in your mind at a certain time frame, and it doesn't really stand out to you until later on throughout the years. You're like, I remember that time He told me this. I remember I had an instance like this, and now it's coming up, and I know exactly what to do. The lessons, the teachings, the experiences is all made for a reason, and I just can't fathom how incredible it is, how the universe is created in this unthinkable, unstoppable way of existing. The way I see it, believing in the Lord helps you believe in yourself. Now, prior to believing in God, I was very hurt. I was very lost. I was very misunderstood, and I had no sense of direction. I had no idea where to go. I didn't know what to do. But after believing in the Lord, I definitely had this map that just been inserted into my head, and I just see it now. I see literally like photographs, I see images, I see visions, and I see these clear streams of water of my life just going down, and I just see everything. It's incredible. And the more I feel gracious, the more I feel gratitude. It's just this incredible euphoric feeling. Not even drugs can even fathom how far God can go. And people do take drugs to have this type of feeling, this euphoric effect, to see God, to see deities, to see angels and whatnot. But that's okay. Some people aren't as naturally gifted, but they do have abilities. We all have abilities. We're incredibly strong. Just existing is incredible. And I have a third question. How has the gifts affected me? Now, my gifts currently, they affect me very, very dear, because everything I do affects my entire environment. I believe I am very, very powerful. And if I say something negative, it will become very negative and transparent to people. But if I'm very positive, it increases everyone's rapport and everyone's attitude. Everyone's just so moved the way I express myself and the way I want to do things in a certain way. My gifts help people. Seeing that encourages me to do more. When I do readings on people, especially if they're non-believers, and I see their reactions and I see how happy and excited they get, they're like, whoa, this is incredible. Like, I didn't know how far this goes. I didn't know that this is real. I'm like, yeah, it's very much real. I can make it happen. Everything can happen just like that. Whatever your mind is set to will happen. And I know that for a fact. I've tested it multiple times. And I say things out loud with intent to see a reaction. And it happens. For instance, one of these, 2 days ago, I had an instance where I wanted the bagel sandwiches from McDonald's. By the way, not sponsored. And I was like, I really want that sandwich, but I can't have it today. Tomorrow. I'll have it tomorrow for sure. And the next day, and I woke up, got on the computer, was looking through Instagram, whatnot, and then my roommate knocked on my door. He said, hey, my DoorDash delivered me these foods and I can't eat it. I'm allergic to the pork and the bacon that they put in there. You can have it. I'm like, what is it? He's like, oh, they're bagel sandwiches from McDonald's. I'm like, no way. I'm like, oh, thank the Lord. I was like, what? I literally just said that yesterday. Those type of examples they can be coincidental, but how many times does it happen until you realize, is it really coincidental? Is this really happen by chance? No, it's the universe just talking to you, just sending you feedback, because you believed in the universe, so the universe will believe in you. So this all breaks down to the gifts affecting me. Me believing in my own gifts grants me abilities that go even further than just the gifts, like the ability to manifest so greatly. And I'm burping. The ability to just push myself and imagine things and then making it happen in reality is just incredible. The creativity, the amount of brain power and metaphysical and just more than just the eyes can see as well, all into one. I'm now seeing how powerful God is, just by a fraction. And I think that's just incredible to me. And I have another question. Inner child versus the ego. Inner child is also known as higher self. Now, the higher self is basically your direct contact between yourself and God. It's you, but it's in the holy version of yourself. A being that is so powerful and that's at its max stats. It's you. Just not quite you. It's just the more powerful version of yourself, the one that guides you, the one that gives you the intuition, the one that says, I'm excited, I'm super excited about doing this, aka the inner child that wants to do things. Especially if you're doing it by the Lord's name, you have this butterfly feeling of, this is exciting, this is so fun, like this is exactly what I wanted to do. And not everybody gets to experience that, which is sad, but that's okay. Some people get to. Eventually they'll come around to it and they'll feel the passion, the ignition, the light, the torch that God gave them that's inside themselves. That feeling of being passionate, that inner child, is what makes you great, what makes everybody great. My inner child's name is Isaiah, hence I of Isaiah. It's just incredible that my name is Isaiah and it has to root from Egypt, and I had a vision of who Isaiah was, and I was a traveler in Egypt, a philosopher specifically, getting to know knowledge, very, very trustworthy and very just thought to the stars, very stargazing. I knew that there was a greater purpose than just living here. I was so keen to understand who God was, and I wanted him in my life. And I was just so empowered knowing this and seeing all of this coming down together. Just made me feel very special, especially knowing the connection between myself and Isaiah. Now, the ego, everybody has an ego, as much as everybody has an inner child. The ego is the person that really had saved you growing up, the one that does the more bruteful things in your own life. Also, it could be a very bad way of living as well, especially if you're more egotistic and the way of life is just, I am the center, I am the best, I, me, always those things. Ego always wants the center of attention, the one that never lets anyone get the credit besides themselves. Now, ego doesn't have to have this feeling either. They could have the feeling of, I don't have to do it. I don't need to do that. What's the point? It's not good enough for me. The one that's very, very negative, the one that's always opposing, the one that's always thinking for themselves, comes down to ego. The ego doesn't really want necessarily anything good for you, but it's the one that makes you survive throughout your years. Your early years was definitely mostly egotistic. It's the way of life. Going through high school was all egotistic. Everybody wanted status, everybody wanted this, everybody wanted whatever. But now that we're as adults, having an ego is definitely something you should look into. The ego part of you is the make or break of you. The one that opposes your inner child, the one that opposes development, the one that opposes everything that you wish you wanted to do, just because of that insecurity. It'll give you insecurities, it'll give you fear, it'll give you anxiety, it'll give you, you get the message. Just a constant flow of negativity. The ego is always not that good for you. Once upon a time ago it did, but not anymore. Ego needs to go. Ego, let go. So, what has helped me? Okay. This will be the last question before I take off. What has helped me? Now that I think about it, people. As hard as it sounds, I never really liked asking for help. I don't like feeling weak. I don't like feeling vulnerable. But those were just my ego talking. My ego was just saying, you don't need people. Like, you can do it yourself. you can do everything by yourself. You're great. You're the best. That's not true. I've always been helped by people, by God, by reaching out to people, being inspired by people, watching videos. I'm very easily inspired. Little things can inspire me, and it ignites my passion to do things. Like, I started the channel because I was inspired. I was inspired by my surroundings. I saw my friends. I saw people producing music. I see very gifted people doing whatever they love. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, what do I love? What do I love so much? And I used to revolve around scuba diving. Scuba diving is definitely a passion of mine, but it's not like the love. It's not like the ignition, the reason why I exist. And I thought about it. I was like, hey, I actually have a gift. And God has given me gifts, and I gave him all the praise, and he's just everything for me. Knowing that he gives me these gifts, why not express it? Why not show people that I'm more than just a person. I'm more than just this. I'm actually very gifted and talented. And it definitely helped me from people. People had helped me along the way. All these little things from like when I was 16 to 20 to 25. These little milestones that people would talk to me and be like, hey, you're actually really cool. You're really special. There's something about you that your energy blooms. You have all this contained energy. Like, what do you do with it? And I thought to myself, I'm like, nothing really. I just sit around, play games, go to raves. And I really had to think about it. I said, why not just express myself? Why not just go out and just reach the people's hearts instead of just being contained in my own room and feeling like I'm not doing anything? And that's when I knew I have Isaiah need to happen. All right, thank you very much for showing, and thank you so much just for your support. I appreciate every one of you guys. I love you, and have a good night.